Welcome back for another episode of the 406 Garage, this week featuring the Dvorak family racing. Welcome to the 406 Garage. We're here with Dvorak Family Racing. We have Mike, Dalton, and Kincaid. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with, how did you guys get started involved with the drag racing scene?
Well, like a lot of people, I was involved with the building of the track, and one of the original owners of the track was Ron Omo, and I worked for him at the time. And so I worked a lot with building a lot of things out there at the track. So that got me going. That got the bug going anyway. And when it opened, I was out there, and I helped Ron first year for a few races. I helped him out with he had a Corvette at the time, and one of the other owners had a Camaro, and there was kind of a little competition there. They wanted to see who could get it faster and go faster and be a better racer. And I think Omo had more money than Gordon did, but I think Gordon was a better racer. So anyway, that got it going, and I bought a car that summer, and it was a little Trans Am, and got the bug, got going, and I think the following year my brother got into it too, so it was kind of a family deal, and I think I won the Sportsman Championship that second year, and then I was hooked. So after that, I kept going with things, and
It's all a blur.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, not so much of a blur, but my kids, I had two young sons that were really wanting to get into racing, and they loved it, and so I started off with juniors, and man, it blossomed from there, and now I've got 3 Super Pro cars, and
We were talking earlier, and you guys were talking about your first memory of the track, where you weren't real excited to go there.
Yeah, the first time we ever went out there. I know that I remembered that he had been building it and talking about it, and so finally we had just bought a new four-wheeler, and we were going to go four-wheeling that day. And so we went out to the racetrack, and they kind of convinced us to go out to the racetrack first before we went four-wheeling, and I just remember the whole time just wanting to leave because I wanted to go four-wheeling so bad, but it was kind of weird. Little did we know that so many years later, that's all we do now.
That's all you want to do now.
Yeah.
Summers are dedicated to it.
Nice. So you guys started off in the junior program. Just give us a little quick recap on how that was for you guys.
Well, I started in 1290 when I was 8 years old, and actually remember we got in trouble because my birthday that year was on a Sunday, and I turned 8 years old, and you couldn't race before you were 8. And we raced. I made like 3 time-only passes the day before, and we got shut down. But we had we had to wait, and so I mean, I turned 8 years old, and it seemed like everything just kind of took off from there, and then moved up 1290, 890, going faster and faster, and then eventually Kincaid jumped into my old car, and boy, we really went from there.
My very first season, I remember how excited I was to go and scared what I was to move up from 1290 to 890, and it was really scary at first, and then you make the first pass, and of course, now you're hooked. Now you're, can we go back up right now? And that first season I was in 890, I remember I beat Chase for points that year, Chase Hewitt, and I beat him by one show-up point because he broke his arm in football.
Oh, nice. Nice. So, you guys, you had a points championship. How did you do in the points for the juniors?
I think I only ever won one points championship in juniors, but man, I came in second or third a lot. But no, I did pretty good. I would definitely say Kincaid probably did a little bit better in juniors though.
I had 3 in juniors, and there was 1 year throughout 1290 to 790. There was 1 year where I didn't place in the top 3.
Nice. A lot of podium finishes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and as soon as out of the 890 car, 790 felt like it went by too fast. You know, that's when, you know, you've got everything figured out. You know, I learned how to play the top end pretty well, and so that was the best thing, you know, to be able to tree somebody and run down there and then mess with them. You know?
So I'll say when Dalton started out racing, things were a little different back then. They didn't have 2 classes. It was a lot. I mean, you had 790 guys racing against 1290 guys. So him racing in his first year, he was racing guys that had been racing 4 or 5 years already. So, and back then, you know, there was probably only 15, 20 cars. I mean, now there's times we'll get 30, 40 cars out there, but you got 2, 3 different classes, so, or 2, I guess. But back then it was a lot harder for Dalton when you had those young kids racing those old kids, you know.
Going up names like the McNairs, going up against names like the McNairs, Neil Carlson.
Those were the
Zach
big
Salo.
two.
Yep.
Those were I actually remember my very first junior elimination round was against Nathan McNair, and man, I got whooped. And then I think it was the next weekend we raced again. We got rained out on Saturday, and so we ran both races on Sunday, and that was the next weekend, my second weekend racing, and I went to the finals in both of those races, the Saturday race and the Sunday race, and I won one of them. And but I remember I was racing the 1290 car, and I raced Nathan McNair and Neil Carlson in the finals, and yeah, it was crazy how big a difference there was.
Massive.
Yeah, for one, right now, you know, we run the 2 classes, the junior Thunder and the junior Lightning. Obviously, the younger kids are restricted to slower times. Those cars don't make the power, so they're not as consistent. And also, like you guys said, they don't have the experience. So you get up in the Lightning class, they're faster, they make more power, they run their number more consistently.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, and as a dad, being a tuner, which you are when you're running juniors, you're the head tuner, and man, it was hard to tune those 1290 cars or dialing them, and you know, you dial you obviously want to run as fast as you could. You run it, you know, the car could probably run a 1270. You know, dial 1290, and one pass it's 1290, go into eliminations, and it runs a 1356 or something.
yeah.
It's kind of tough, man. You don't. They're hard to figure out, those juniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you step into something like a 790 car, and man, they can get deadly consistent, and that's really competitive racing. But man, it seems like the only thing I remember from 790 is it was cool for like a half a season, and then all I wanted was to get into one of these, and that was all I thought about as far as racing went until I did.
Well, that's something we've talked about with a lot of the racers. You know, there's the junior program in the high school, you know, sportsman, pro. A lot of these junior kids are so good, and they're used to going so fast, because 790 in the 8th is fast. It's faster than your new Camaros, new Mustangs, Challengers. You know, so they go straight into Super Pro cars. So the juniors have had a lot of success going straight into the Super Pro.
It's crazy, I'll tell you. We went to a race up in Malta one time, and it's 8th mile, and you know, one kid was running 790, the other running 890, and you don't realize it, but you know, when you're just running 8th, all the sportsman guys were slower than that, and a good portion of the pro cars were slower than that. So these guys, and these kids, I mean, you're running this 890, 790, that's flat getting with it down the track. So
Yeah, you're moving.
As far as the juniors coming up and having success, I mean, I could list at least 10 names in my head that I can guarantee are going to be, you know, champions at this track beyond juniors. You know, there's a lot of them that...
It's a really kind of easy transition. I mean, the delay box is really the only thing you got to get used to, but that's super easy to get used to. I remember the biggest thing for me when I went from juniors to a Super Pro car, the weirdest part of all of it for me was being able to start your own car.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a junior, you have to have your dad behind you to start your car. But man, that was the only weird part for it. You just kind of seamlessly flow into that.
Biggest part for me was the launch. Man, I was scared to death of launching that car, and the first time I did it, it flat out scared me, you know. And man, it probably took 10 passes down the track before I stopped getting tunnel vision. You know, that was the. I'm not going to say the hardest thing, 'cause it wasn't necessarily hard, but that was the weirdest thing to get used to.
But boy, it's easy to get addicted to.
Oh yeah.
So we've got a little bit of history on how you guys got started and all that. We're going to fast forward, talk about, current times. We're in between seasons, 2018, 2019. How did you guys do in 2018? A little recap of your last season.
Overall we did pretty good. I don't think any of us did as good as what we really wanted to, but everybody had a little bit of mechanical issues and things like that. I had a really good season. I won a couple of races, and I don't remember what they were, but the main thing was we had a ton of fun, and that's what it's all about for us. That's our camping weekend is, weekend at the track. So 2018 we did step up. We bought a toter home, and then towards the end of the season we bought a stacker trailer. So we can go, possibly, if work will allow, can go out to do some of these national events and stuff like that. That's kind of where we're going with this program. We all three got really fast race cars, and we're having a lot of fun, and so that's kind of 2018 for me.
Nice.
It was kind of an average year. I didn't do really good. I didn't do really bad. We won a couple times, lost a lot of times, and I didn't really have any mechanical issues, so all in all, it was a pretty good year. We had a lot of fun. We fought a lot sometimes, but, for the most part, I think everybody had a pretty good year. I know, everybody had some mechanical issues and delay box issues and things here and there, but for the most part, I feel like we had a pretty good year.
And for me, it started out on a bad note. My very first qualifying pass on the very first weekend pushed the rear bearing out of the transmission. And so that brought me down for that whole weekend, and got it rebuilt, and car just wasn't quite right, or didn't feel right, because the year before won the championship, and 100% comfortable in the car, and then just never could get most of it was probably mental, but just couldn't get comfortable in the car, and then new tires, and some possibilities of something being changed in the transmission without us knowing, and maybe trans brakes going out. It wasn't a horrible year there. Towards the end, I settled down a little bit and kind of got over that mental slump, and ended the year on a pretty good note.
Nice. So looking behind us here, I see all three of the cars, and I don't see a power plant in any of them. So obviously, running three cars is a huge program. The maintenance, and you guys work a lot of hours, and there's a lot of maintenance that goes into the cars. What are you guys doing in the off season, to get ready for next year?
Well, this off season's been kind of busy. Our business that we have, we worked really late into the year, and my son Dalton's getting ready to get married here pretty soon, so we've had a lot to do with planning the wedding. So off season wise, we just pulled the motors out, we sent them back down to Rear Morrison, we're having them all freshened and doing a few small changes to things, but for the most part we're happy with just the program that we have right now. It's low maintenance. We don't have a heck of a lot of time to work on these things, during the summer months when we're racing because our business doesn't allow for that. So this year we're just gonna kind of keep it about the same. Just keep racing, having fun. Maybe have some time to go out and do a little bit of traveling now that we got the stuff to be able to do that. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Nice. Looking forward to 2019. You know, the season's coming up fast. Last week it was 36 below zero with wind. We're going to blink our eye and it's going to be opening weekend here already. So, you know, as a whole, as a racing team, racing family, you probably got some goals, and as individuals, you got some, you know, personal goals, whether it's championships or going faster than you have or anything like that. So, you know, what do you guys, you know,
I
goals?
just want to see one of these guys beat me. You know, that's what my goal is.
Oh my goodness. Listen to this guy.
My number one goal is to beat him.
Now,
Like that shit.
you know, before he said that, that wasn't my goal, but now it is.
Now we got some good goals.
So we see you guys lined up against each other. Maybe we can do a little side betting or something.
There we
you
go.
know? See what we can do.
$1,000. Easy.
Just remember, I'm old.
Yeah. If he beats us, he's better than us. If we beat him, it's because he's old.
Nice, nice.
That's how it works.
No, I think my goal is the same as it is every year. I'm going to go out and we're going to try and have fun, and I'm going to try not to break anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reoccurring goal ever since we stepped up from juniors, is to not break anything.
Yeah.
But
my goal is definitely, I mean, I won the championship in 2017, and that was easily the best year of my life. You know, my family being there right by my side the entire time. And so my goal is to get back to that and, you know, relive that moment again. And that winning king of the track was probably one of the best moments of my life.
Yeah, something everybody definitely always shoots for. You know,
Yeah.
it's a goal we all have when the season starts, but only one guy gets the
That's
crown.
right.
So
You know,
you know,
I will say I was pretty proud Papa. I've raced that race a couple times and never actually done it, and had my son do it. It was a pretty awesome deal.
you know, one thing I want to talk about here is you talk about being a proud dad. Obviously, you three boys out there racing. A very important part's missing here, and that's Carrie.
That's right.
kind of makes the whole thing run.
Yes,
She
you know,
does.
I know she's such a huge part of what you guys do, and I enjoy just giving her grief, because you look back when you guys are in the cars, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, husband or sons, you can tell she's nervous at every pass. She's excited.
Oh, yeah.
She's, and, you know, we love just, I mean, watching her from the tower, because you can just, emotions pour out of her every time you guys are up there.
And that's genuine. That's what she's all about. She's real, you know, and we wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for her.
Absolutely.
That's 100% true. She holds us together out there. I mean,
Chewing our butts to where'd you put your race pants?
Yep. She
That's
saved
not what
my
you
ass.
should dial, or
Yep.
Saved my ass there a time or two with the race bands, and she holds us together.
Nice. That's awesome. So the mom figure and the wife figure is obviously, you know, super important, huge part of the role. We talked about you getting married here soon.
Yeah.
You know, how does the future wife feel about you guys racing?
Oh, she's extremely supportive. I mean, she's out there for every single race, and she helps me in every single way that she can, and she's awesome about the whole thing.
She helps out a lot. There's been a couple of times where my girlfriend has been on vacation and hasn't been out there, and you can't strap into one of these cars by yourself, and so she's right there, you know, as soon as she's done with him, right there to help me and get me ready and keep us going.
Nice. Does she have any of the bug to ever get in the driver's seat of one of these, or?
You know, I'm working on it, but no, I think she's a lot like my mom, and she maybe too much like my mom sometimes, but from chewing my butt to telling me what I should have done, and no, she's learned a lot, and I don't know if she wants to get in one of these or not. We've talked about it a couple times, but I know that right now she really likes being out there and helping, and yeah, she's really into the whole deal.
I've been working on getting mine into one of my dragsters, so
We've got them
gotta
to run
keep
their
working.
run their street cars against each other
Yep.
a couple times, but other than that, nothing.
That's where it starts.
That's
Yep.
where it
And then it'll
starts.
just, you know, grow from
Get
there.
better.
Through that.
From 16 seconds in the quarter mile to 7 seconds in the quarter mile.
So Yellowstone Drag Strip was built in 2003. Opened up July 4th weekend. You were out there helping, put stuff up, build stuff out there when it was being built. A lot of things have happened between now and then. You started racing that year. You guys each started racing since then. What are your guys' favorite memories about racing?
Well, that for me was that first year. Really got hooked on it, and I ended up going and buying a little 1999 Trans Am, and I started out there racing. And I think it was Labor Day weekend. There was a $10,000 bracket race, and I went all the way to the finals, and I ended up winning that race in that little car, that little blue Trans Am, and I beat a dragster, and that's when I realized what bracket racing really was. You didn't have to be the fastest car, you just had to be the best at the line and dial your car right. And I won $10,000 that weekend, and I still had a 20-day sticker in the window of that car, so that was pretty cool for me.
That's awesome.
My favorite, there's a lot of memories, but I can't remember if it was this last year or the year before that. Somehow, one way or another, we all three made it into Quick 8, and somehow, one way or another, there were 4 cars left in the semifinal, and we were 3 of them, and I can't remember who took the picture, but there's a picture of us lined up in the staging lanes, and all 3 cars have their lights on, and they're all ready to go, and then that's an awesome memory for me.
And Bill Gaynor was the 4th. I can only imagine how scared he was. My favorite memory, there's been so many. It's really hard to, put your finger onto one. But, King of the Track was amazing for me. But I think probably that last weekend of King of the Track, not just the moment, but that whole weekend. These guys that weekend did good in Super Pro and Quick 8, and words can't describe how good that feeling was, but it was just something in the atmosphere. Everybody was happy. We were all with our family, and it all comes together, and you realize that this is why we do this. That's probably my favorite memory.
So you get to see, starting off in a Trans Am, these guys growing up through juniors, going into Super Pro cars. Any memories of that?
Oh yeah, the very first time these two guys lined up in their Super Pro cars to race each other, and I can't remember if I was out or if I was still in, but that feeling of standing behind them, and for so many years standing behind each kid with their junior, and many years they raced each other in juniors too. But I don't know, it was just a very proud moment for me to have 2 kids in Super Pro lining up and racing each other, and they had a really good race.
So you guys have probably raced each other quite a few times over the years, now that you're all 3 running the same class.
Yeah.
Obviously you guys are family, best friends. You get up there once you do your burnout, and all it is wanting to, kick the other guy's butt, I'm sure.
It's an understatement.
It's a minor source of contention in our family.
So, I heard you saying earlier that they never beat you. Is that true? That neither one of these have beat you in that?
No, to my memory, I can't honestly remember in eliminations since we've been running Super Pro cars, either one of them beating me. But
He doesn't have a very good memory.
Yeah.
Well, old age.
So they'll tell me that, but I sure can't remember.
No, I will admit, I know for a fact at least the last 6 or 7 times him and I have raced each other, he has beaten me every time. Whether it is me just straight up whiffing it on the line, or the car will magically pick up half a second or something. It's always something.
Well, we've had
generally
some really, really close ones too.
Yeah.
I have. I can remember one where 003, 002 lights, and my car just ran a little bit better than.
And mine fell way off. It's almost like somebody messed with the car.
Yeah, it fell off by almost 1,000.
Head mechanic guy might have forgot to pull a plug or something.
No, but I've come close many a times to beating him, and yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever got it done, but every weekend in qualifying it, each round it's $1 or $5, I don't remember, to the person with the best light. Man, he owes me a ton of money.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. One of your favorite memories is being king of the track, and that justifies being the best of the best. And in looking at it, saying you've never beat him. So, I mean, that just means when you're racing your family, racing one of your members. I know I've raced my dad and my brothers so many times growing up, and I don't care no matter how good I am. When it's my brother and my dad in the lane, I try that much harder.
A little bit.
Nothing matters.
Sometimes it helps you, but sometimes you do. You go double O red or you.
I mean, a wheel falls off, you're holding it till you get to that finish.
It
It don't matter.
It is. There's bragging rights when you get back to the pits. There absolutely is. So that's awesome.
Me, there's been times that, man, I really wanted, Kincaid's really in a slump. I really wanted to win, I do. For me, it doesn't, I've won so many races, it doesn't make sense.
Oh my God.
Oh. But no, really, but I'll tell you what, man, it's game on when that light drops. You better, they're gonna have to earn it.
Yeah, there's no
We're
freebies.
never giving anybody a race.
There's no freebies in this game.
That's right.
So there's a lot of memories with you guys out here racing as a family. I've said this every time I've interviewed someone. This family comes around. Obviously, you guys have you're getting married. Carrie's involved. The three boys together racing is awesome. But we also talk about our YDS family, which is so huge. It's we all have the biggest families in the world because there's a huge YDS family. So, what do you guys have to say about the YDS family?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I've met so many great people doing what we do, racing. I couldn't even begin to name how many people have become friends doing what we've done. People for me, Mike and Holly Sannon in the beginning, they were such a great, they helped me, inspired me to get into racing, and Mike and Michelle McNair, and for me, a good friend, Derek Menholt. He has done so many things to help me along the process, help me with my kids. I've helped him too, I think, and for me, that guy is he's a good, genuine friend and person, and he inspires me. I've watched what he's done with the Pro Mod thing, and I think that is just, it's great. He's included me in those things. We went on trips together and that sort of stuff. So the friends that you meet along the way with doing what we do, and day to day, even if it's just out at our local racetrack or going to national events or whatever, it's just awesome.
What's really cool from my standpoint is to sit back and you talk about the Derek Mells, Denny Mells, Tim Partons, all these big names that growing up, you're like, you think they're untouchable. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you start racing with them, and it doesn't matter if you're a junior, high school, sportsman car, super pro, quick 8, we're all the same.
That's right.
And that's what's really cool about the whole family out there is everybody's there supporting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest part about it is the people you meet. It's a different kind of friendship than anything I think we've ever had before. We even knew about before drag racing. The people that you meet and the people you race with, they'll really do anything for you. And that extends so far as to you guys, the people that own the track, and make everything we do possible, and give out awards. And in 2015, you guys gave me most inspirational, and it's honestly one of the most proud moments. And I've never been so honored and humbled in my whole life. It's unreal, and the things that people will do for you.
We talked about, in a previous video, we talked about how if you're broke and the guy you're racing has the part, he'll give you that part so you can go out there and race. It's not, nobody wants a freebie in this sport. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the parents getting involved with the juniors, and it's really cool with you guys since you guys started off in juniors, and we've had Kincaid, he came involved and, started the junior power race.
Yeah, the junior power race was something that, after I had gotten out of juniors, I kind of looked back on my career in juniors and thought about my favorite part about juniors, and it was when I was going through juniors was when juniors kind of got revolutionized and people started paying a lot more attention to them, and we had all these big fancy races, and through certain things, some of those races had gone away, and so I wanted to bring a special race that's only for the juniors that includes everybody. You know, whether you are a brand new kid who doesn't know anything about racing, or you're the one that's been doing it for 6 years. You know, and so Omo was a big part of that. I mean, Omo was always keeping the juniors involved, and you know, they were always pretty much his number one priority. And so that's kind of what I wanted to, you know, not necessarily bring back, but revive at, you know, YDS.
Yeah, I know it's been a great program, and you know, we look back and we go to the state program and we talk, and you know, a lot of the racers are getting older, you know, and it's a sport that we need to keep supporting, and you know, through the junior program and these power races and stuff like that. I mean, that's the future of our sport. So it's just so important to get these kids involved, get them hooked, support them, get them excited. Because once they're involved, as you guys know, they're going to be hooked forever.
Oh yeah.
So
we're prime examples of that.
But well, thank you guys again for having me here. Appreciate your guys' time. And
Thank you.
Great talking to you guys. And
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
but you guys stay tuned for the next episode of the 406 Garage, featuring another YDS racer or family.